Hey writers, I know that I said your writing piece was due about now, but after reading over a lot of your work already, I have decided that I want to give you one final moment, one final push, because there's just something that just so blatant to me that I just feel like if I just remind you, you're gonna get it forever, hopefully. So here is the thing. You got this. You know how you read all the time? And you know how you often are reading fiction books? In fact, many of you have expressed your deep love for fiction, realistic fiction, historical fiction, science fiction, fantasy, graphic novels, mystery, you name it. All those books are detail rich, right? That's why we love them. I'm looking at one of my favorites right now. I'm obsessed with the Harry Potter series, as many of you know. I'm obsessed with many series, fantasy, sci-fi, fiction, historical fiction. I love all of it too. I'm right there with you. So for people like us that love this kind of literature, why not make our own writing sound a bit more like it? So I want to remind you that today and every day, especially today when I know that you have your books with you, I want to push you and remind you forever to read like a writer. Did you know that your favorite books can be your best teachers? Let me show you exactly what I mean with one of my favorites. I've already showed you a bit of this, but this time I'm going to make it a bit more specific. So I know that I've read bits of this story for you, things that I love. This is just the same part that I keep going back to. I just love the scene, the few scenes in the beginning, especially when Harry kind of realizes that he's different when he's around the snake. I love when Hagrid comes in. There's so many good excerpts in the very beginning of this book. But I feel like maybe the reason why this isn't sticking is because maybe I, as a teacher, haven't made it quite specific enough. So rather than just reading blindly, why not give ourselves some specific lenses? So let me just remind you of some lenses that you have. You can be looking at your own book right now, your own independent book, for ways you can show, not tell. Looking to see exactly how your author does this, and then how you might do this in your own writing. So let's try this right now. And I'm also going to perform a magic trick. You'll see in just a second. You probably can already tell what it's going to be. I'm just going to read this one part that I keep coming back to. I went back to my favorite opening scenes. I especially whenever I'm doing this as a writer, rereading as a writer, I like to go back to just the scenes that like stuck with me, places that already were flagged, underlined in my book. A breeze ruffled through. Let's make sure you can see this. There we go. A breeze ruffled through the neat hedges of Privet Drive, which lay silent and tidy under the inky sky, the very last place you would expect astonishing things to happen. Whoa, that sentence, man, that is powerful. Okay, I'm gonna just start, and I'm gonna have to probably add more. I'm just gonna start with some of this stuff because there's just so much packed into this one sentence. All right, so let me just back up a second. All right, first of all, first and foremost, I don't know about you, but I definitely saw some very clear setting details. Privet Drive, it's like a really fancy way of saying where they are, where Harry is, right? So rather than just saying it all started at Privet Drive, why not add in that extra stuff to explain where you are? Naming the setting details, but also like what the weather is like outside. A breeze ruffled the neat hedges of Privet Drive. Ooh. So not only do we have setting details, like where exactly it is, but we also have a sense of how it feels to be there. This also makes me think that, I mean, well, strong verbs, that's another thing I'm thinking about. Ruffled, so like to ruffle something is like to make it kind of move or wiggle in the wind. Doesn't that help you picture this so well? Other things I could think about here, or I could use here, is just maybe a little bit of sensory detail. I mean, they're not saying it flat out what it feels like, but breeze or ruffling the hedges, that, I mean, I kind of can infer that it feels cool. Like there's like a little, like when the wind just kind of grazes your arm or your hair, like that little bit of coldness that you feel. Also, it's silent. We can understand what it sounds like. It sounds silent. Now, there's something here that isn't even on this list that I feel like I have to add. Listen to this one, listen to this one bit of a sentence. The very last place you would expect astonishing things to happen. Oh my gosh, what is that? What is that? That's a clue. It's like almost like we're in a mystery book, even though we're not. We're in Harry Potter, which is fantasy. What is that? That's a clue. Or maybe we could say that's like kind of some foreshadowing. If you don't know what foreshadowing is, it's when the writer kind of gives you a clue or a hint about what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so do you see? I didn't even have to reread very much. I just had to go find a place that I liked, like a place in the story that stuck out to me. Maybe a place I've already flagged, I already had studied closely in reading or on my own. And then I went back and I just reread literally a sentence, and I found 4 things that I think now I could do in my writing. I'm also adding on right now, big message, big meaning. That's what I just remembered too, is like that little hint at like what's going to happen in the story, what we're going to learn. I'm thinking about for us, it could also be like the clue to what you learn or what you realize in your story. Okay, so now I have 4 things. Now, this is my new job. This is my draft, or part of it. I want to see, can I literally move some of this stuff over to my own draft? And if I can't, you know what I have to do? I have to do it. So right now I have it all on paper to make it a little bit easier to view, but it might be on my computer screen. Great, I'll just be looking up at my computer. This is exactly what you'd see on my computer. All right, let's keep going. Let's see, do I do this stuff that J.K. Rowling does in this single sentence at all in this paragraph? Let's see. My grandpa stopped talking, and then I realized that he was gone. I was so scared. I looked everywhere for him. I don't know. I don't know I'm actually doing much at all. I feel like I just jumped really far ahead. Like he stopped talking and I realized he was gone. That was like, I feel like I just jumped forward like a million steps. Maybe what I could do is I could try to slow this down by, let's see, maybe I could maybe do some foreshadowing here instead. Maybe I could, instead of just saying like he was gone, it was like a clue. Maybe it could go like this. My grandpa stopped talking. That's odd, I thought to myself. Do you hear the difference? Instead of just saying, and I realized he was gone. Because in real life, I don't like, he doesn't stop talking, then all of a sudden like, oh, he's gone, I lost him. That's not what happens in the story. There's a lot of steps in between. So now I'm thinking that maybe this part could be, and then I realized, cut that out and just say instead, stop talking. That's odd, I thought to myself. Do you see how instead of just like telling you what's going to happen or what happens, I'm giving you a little clue, like how J.K. Rowling did? So I'm already starting to move things over and doing the thing that's missing. What else could I do? Let's see. This made me even more scared. So I ran to the water. Well, one, I feel like I didn't even see this yet in her writing, even though I know what happens. Like whenever she describes a feeling, let me just skip down because I know that in this part there's like some feelings there. When she describes a feeling like scared, rather than like I know that J.K. Rowling, what she usually does is like she does more with it. She doesn't just say scared. Let me go back and just study this for a second and see what else she does. One small hand closed on the letter beside him and slept on it. He slept on. not knowing he was special, not knowing he was famous. Ooh, more foreshadowing, pretty cool. He would be woken in a few hours' time by Mrs. Dursley's scream. Ooh, so maybe instead of using just the word scared, I could like maybe make some action come out of that, or maybe I'd have to go over here and grab another one. So maybe it's going to be like descriptive detail and action. So this made me even more scared. So maybe instead of this made me even more scared, my heart started to race. Do you see the difference now? How I'm not just telling you what I'm doing, what's happening. I'm now showing you, just like how I did up here. Do you see the difference? It's just this tiny little study session with J.K. Rowling is making in my story. So today, what I would love for you to do is I would love for you to use your independent reading book or your book club book, whatever book you have with you right now. Just use the one that you know. And then I would like for you to, let's even write out the steps for us, shall we? Go back to a part you love and that you know in your independent reading book. Maybe you pick a lens. Pick a lens. You could say, I'm going to look for show not tell details. Or maybe some of you are trying to do specific things in your story. So like maybe I'm trying to foreshadow. So I'm going to look to see how she does that. Or it could be, you could pick a lens, or just reread and notice cool stuff the writer does. Then try to do it in your own story. 3 steps. Can you try this? And also just notice I didn't rewrite anything really today. I just kind of made some small little revisions. But do you see how much more powerful this piece is? Just this one part? A lot of you right now are kind of telling me what's going on, or maybe jumping from one scene to the next a little bit too fast. So instead, read like a writer. Really just go back into the books that you know well, that you've been really invested in lately, study them up, and then try to do some of the stuff that you see. You don't even have to reread that much. But this is what I would like you to do today before you finally submit your writing piece. Good luck. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun, which is even better. And I can't wait to see how these turn out. I'll see you soon.